Hello everyone and welcome back to Soren Review. And today we're going to be looking over my 2021 NASCAR predictions of winners from when I created this in January or February. I went through the schedule and predicted who I thought at the beginning of the season was going to win these races. And I did make a video. You can go back and view it before. And I explained why I picked that driver, and I went through it, and I picked all 36 winners along with the Busch Clash and the All-Star race. And now we're going to do a reactions video to those predictions. Just a quick reminder, remember you can use code Soren72 to get free shipping on all orders, $20 or more when you order from Circle B Diecast. Also, go check out my other videos. Now let's get started with the Busch Clash and the All-Star race. Now the Busch Clash this year was run on the road course instead of the regular oval, and so it was an obvious pick to go with Chase Elliott, and I did. He didn't win. He got extremely close, though, if you recall, almost passing Ryan Blaney before him and Ryan Blaney wrecked, and it allowed for Kyle Busch to win the Busch Clash. So I was close. To say I wasn't close is, false, but just a little off. As for the All-Star race, it was ran at Texas, so I went with Denny Hamlin. Hamlin has pretty good statistics at Texas, so Hamlin is a reasonable choice. And as you'll see in this video, I don't think I realized how well Larson would do this season. But not Hamlin. Hamlin did not win. So let's get to the actual performance with the Daytona 500. Now, I had been saying for a while that Kevin Harvick was going to win the Daytona 500, mainly because the way Harvick had performed in 2019 and 2020, he made it through most of the wrecks. Yeah, he was collected in some of them, but for the most part, he was there at the end. And Harvick in 2020 got a top 10, so I was kind of rooting Harvick as this underdog to get his second Daytona 500. And I was pretty close. Kevin Harvick, if I recall, finished fourth, if I'm not mistaken, and was one of the only cars that did not wreck. So it was a reasonable choice to pick Kevin Harvick. Frankly, I'm kind of surprised I picked Harvick despite all the people who wrecked. So hats off to me. Chase Elliott, Daytona road course. Again, reasonable pick. I mean, I think everyone expected Elliott to perform well at the road courses. So only 2 wins this season were at road courses, but not the Daytona road course. I don't think anyone would have predicted Christopher Bell, though I did make a video on, why Christopher Bell's win, is not that surprising. But, Elliott was going to win before that quote, rain caution. So, Chase Elliott, not correct. Tyler Reddick, Homestead, Miami, again, so close. He finished second in that race. Had there had been more laps, probably would have won. I do believe Reddick is going to win at Homestead eventually, but, especially, I believe Reddick's going to win Homestead with these composite bodies in the next-gen car. I think he will. But Tyler Reddick, second place in real life. Not exactly the winner, but it was reasonable, for me to think that. Alex Bowman at Las Vegas. I don't recall what I was thinking here. I think mainly because Bowman had performed pretty well in both of the 2020 races. If I recall correctly, Bowman was top 10, but not a driver to, compete with. And again, Kyle Larson, so fast. Phoenix, Brad Keselowski. Keselowski was a top 10 car, I do recall, but not the winner. Martin Truex Jr. did win this race. Brad Keselowski, I think I picked him for a good number of races on here, as I picked him for the next one at Atlanta. Brad Keselowski was not really a top contender at either of the Atlanta races. Brad Keselowski did kind of struggle this season, on the track at least, and so both Phoenix, Atlanta are false. Bristol Dirt, I had to go with the obvious pick of Kyle Larson. we all know what happened to him. He wrecked. Joey Logano won. Martinsville is the first one I picked correctly. Martin Truex Jr. I think I picked this one correctly because I think Truex is an obvious pick. If anything, this is one of the easiest ones I could have gone right, and I did. So, not too impressive, but at least I'm not going to get zeros across the board. Richmond, I picked Joey Logano. Logano was top 5 most of the race, if I recall. I think he did finish top 5. I could be wrong. But Joey Logano was fast at Richmond. I think Richmond is one of Logano's best tracks. Logano, again, similar to Brad Keselowski, struggled this year. And so, just not the win. So not correct. Talladega, I selected Eric Jones, and I'm actually very proud of this choice, despite me getting it wrong, because Eric Jones in the Geico 500 this season was very fast. If you recall, he was up front there at the very end, him and Ross Chastain, and Eric Jones had a chance to win. He didn't get the finish he deserved. He wrecked on the last lap, but Eric Jones looked really solid at both of the Talladega races, especially the spring race. So I'm kind of proud that I recognize that Eric Jones, I think this is one of my better picks. Kansas, Ryan Blaney. Ryan Blaney was on the front row on that race, or not front row, he was second row before him and Kyle Larson wrecked. Top 5 car, if I recall, top 10, top 10 speed. Ryan Blaney, Kansas pick. I think, I thought of 2020, I think it was a spring race where he finished second. Ryan Blaney's been pretty fast here at Kansas, so it was a reasonable pick for Blaney. Just, again, wrong driver. Darlington, I went with Denny Hamlin. Wrong Darlington race. Unfortunately, I picked the wrong Darlington race. I knew Martin Truex would be fast, but I didn't have him for the win. Again, Larson is so fast. Hamlin was top 10 if I recall in this race, lower top 10. Just not the performance for Hamlin to get the win in this Darlington race. Dover, Cole Custer. I explained in this one that it was a crazy pick and totally out of left field, and I do agree that Cole Custer winning 2 years in a row, and especially in his sophomore season, was not going to happen. Custer was frankly very poor this season. I do think he suffered from lack of practice and qualifying. I picked Custer because he was fast in the double headers, and he has an Xfinity win here. Just, no. It was a crazy pick, and it, like expected, didn't happen. Circuit of the Americas, I did pick Chase Elliott right, mainly because, again, similar to Martinsville, an obvious pick. I mean, granted, Elliott was not the fastest car in this race. Kyle Busch, Kyle Larson, the fastest cars, but Chase Elliott got the win due to rain. So I at least did predict that one correctly. Coca-Cola 600, I selected Chase Elliott again. 1.5 mile tracks, for Chase Elliott was, really, really, good in 2020, and it kind of translated over this season, but not enough to get a win. And again, Kyle Larson performing so well. Sonoma, I went with Kyle Busch, mainly because Kyle Busch, I didn't believe Kyle Busch would do very well this season. I wasn't necessarily wrong. Kyle Busch had 2 wins this season. It was an improvement from 2020, but it's still not that Kyle Busch level of standards we've seen in the past. Granted, his Xfinity stats were very well, his truck stats as well, but just Kyle Busch just didn't. To be honest, it wasn't very apparent this year. Just kind of made it to the round of 8 and had an all right season. Kevin Harvick, Nashville. Harvick was fast at Nashville, not the fastest car, but he was one of the fastest cars. Got a top 5, if I recall, in that Gravedigger paint scheme. I picked Harvick mainly because, if I'm not mistaken, Harvick had run at Nashville Superspeedway before, but again, Kyle Larson, so fast. I had Pocono. I'm going to do Pocono races together. I had Denny Hamlin sweeping the Pocono races. I think it's an obvious choice. Hamlin, of course, despite him performing well, didn't really have the he only had 2 wins this season. So Denny Hamlin winning Pocono, it's not crazy. Hamlin was all right, but Bowman, Kyle Busch, they both won those races. Road America, I had Martin Truex Jr. I'm not exactly sure why. Mainly because if I recall, Truex didn't have that many starts at Road America, and I don't. To be honest with you, this is one of my more crazier picks because I don't. I would have to watch the video again, but I don't really you know have any evidence on why Martin Truex Jr. would perform well at Road America. I mean, he was all right there this year, but compared to Chase Elliott or someone like that, Truex, strange pick. Kevin Harvick, though, at Atlanta is not a strange pick. Harvick just, was not good this season, and, you know, I expected him to perform well in Atlanta. Didn't happen. New Hampshire, Brad Keselowski, this in that Escadia, that blue, the cool Cybertruck one. Fair pick. Brad Keselowski was a top 5 car, got a top 5 in the race. Just couldn't pull it off. Eric Almirola, was fast. His other Team Penske teammates was fast. Just, again, wrong car, but was fast. Watkins Glen, I had Daniel Suarez, mainly because I keep overestimating Suarez and road courses. And I thought that he would have, in this new Trackhouse team, a similar performance to how he did in 2017. So just Suarez was very mediocre this season. I am actually, again, pretty proud of this Indy road course pick because Chase Briscoe was very close to winning this race. It was a very hectic race, especially there towards the end. Can't say I agree. I can, if you watch my race ratings or race ranking video from, earlier, I expressed more thoughts about this race, but Chase Briscoe was very close. Didn't get the finish, but was very close. Third pick, though, correct, Ryan Blaney winning Michigan. Blaney was not the fastest car. I think that would have to go to Larson, Byron, Austin Dillon at early in the race. But Ryan Blaney did win Michigan. I am pretty proud of this because Blaney is kind of an obscure pick. You're gonna see. I really my expectations of Blaney, I think, did live up. I had Blaney winning multiple wins this season, and I think that Ryan Blaney, lived up to those. I wish Ryan Blaney would have made it to the round of 4. I think he deserves it, but nonetheless, picked Michigan mainly because he has had strong performances there. Had Daytona, finally, Austin Dillon. Didn't, know how the playoff picture would look there, but Austin Dillon was kind of close. He was up front, trying to get those stage points, did do that. Was caught up in that final lap wreck. The only thing is Austin Dillon did get a playoff, or not a playoff, a dual win earlier in the season. So I had a total of 16 cars, and adding up, I had a total of 18 drivers winning races. There were a total of 16 this season, so I did predict that that the amount of drivers, that would win was going to be a lot. So I did predict that right. My playoffs consisted of Harvick, Elliott, Reddick, Bowman, Keselowski, Larson, Truex, Logano, Jones, Blaney, Hamlin, Custer, Kyle Busch, Suarez, Briscoe, Austin Dillon. Of those, I correctly picked 11. I did not pick William Byron, which I think is a foolish mistake on my part. Trying to remember, I did not pick Eric Almirola, which is fair. I did not pick Michael McDowell, which is a fair pick. I didn't pick Christopher Bell, which I think is also a foolish choice now that I, go back and think about it. And I did not pick Kurt Busch, which I think is also an interesting choice. You'll also notice I did not have Kurt Busch nor Christopher Bell winning races this season. I thought Kurt Busch was not going to be able to pull it out. I thought he was going to really regress this season. And instead, he kind of just had another consistent, one win a season kind of year. And Christopher Bell, I did not have high hopes for whatever reason. I just felt Christopher Bell, his performances in 2020 were not what I was expecting, and so I did put, uh, I was not expecting much, and Bell definitely proved that wrong. So, getting into the playoffs, I selected Chase Elliott to win the first Darlington race. He was top 10 until he wrecked. Just again, I picked Denny Hamlin at the wrong Darlington race, so not correct on that. Fourth race, I did predict correctly. Martin Truex Jr. winning the second Richmond race, which I'm surprised I picked him to win the second Richmond race and not the first one. So, so far we're at 4 total races. Again, one of those easier picks, I think, but still a pick nonetheless. And Bristol, I had Denny Hamlin. Hamlin was top 10, but not a winning contender at all. Again, Kyle Larson, just so fast. I had Briscoe, Austin Dillon, Custer, Suarez getting eliminated. Of course, none of those 4 were actually in the playoffs this year, but I think those would have been pretty realistic if the 16 I chose had made it. At Las Vegas, I had Matt DiBenedetto. I really felt this season, and I think a lot of people did, really thought Matt DiBenedetto would win this season. All politics aside, and all the stuff, controversial stuff Matt DiBenedetto has done on social media lately, Matt DiBenedetto disappointed me this season. At least on his, for his on-track performance, it was a downgrade. Last year he made the playoffs, was pretty close to winning. This year, the only time was like the Geico 500. Granted, he did not have a great start to this season in multiple wrecks, but this was terrible. Didn't make the playoffs. All of his statistics were down. He just, I understand why he was not re-signed for another year. And Wood Brothers, I expected more from DiBenedetto. I wanted him to improve, and it never happened. It was a reasonable pick, though, to pick him for Las Vegas. William Byron, I did have him winning a race, and that was Talladega, mainly because I believe Byron is going to get more plate track wins. He tends to be pretty good at those plate tracks. He did finish second in the Geico 500, not the Algowood 500, which was the second Talladega race. I really underestimated William Byron this season. I thought he was going to downgrade. I thought he was really not going to perform, and he did the complete opposite. So, William Byron, not correct. Chase Elliott for the Charlotte Roval. No one could have predicted what happened with him in Harvick. So that definitely affected it. Plus Kyle Larson, man. So many of these races, man, are just predicted wrong because I really did not. I had Kyle Larson, and look, if you look at the eliminated drivers, I had Jones, Reddick, Larson, Blaney, which I think is, even if these were the 16 drivers, I would have changed this up. But Larson, I really underestimated Larson. I thought Larson would come into this season, grab a win, maybe one more, that I didn't write on here, and, kind of just be very similar to Alex Bowman. I was very wrong. So, let's get to the round of 8. I had Ryan Blaney, despite him being eliminated, win 2 of the last 4 races. I had him predicting winning Texas. I think that was a fair pick. Ryan Blaney is going to win Texas eventually. He is pretty fast there. Brad Keselowski winning Kansas. The only reason I can think of that is he had some good performances in the past, but Brad Keselowski, like I said, this season, it's just in 2021, he just did not have a great runs, so couldn't win Kansas. Martinsville as well, Ryan Blaney. Wrong Martinsville race. I performed well in the spring, not in the fall. You had that backwards. So I had Kyle Busch, Bowman, Logano, Harvick getting eliminated. And for my championship 4, I had Brad Keselowski, Martin Truex Jr., Chase Elliott, and Denny Hamlin. That is pretty good. Other than Kyle Larson, Kyle Larson for Keselowski, I predicted 3 of the 4 correctly at the beginning of the season. I believed Harvick was not going to perform as well as he did in 2020. I'm actually pretty proud that I did predict 3 of the 4, considering that Harvick, that I didn't have Harvick or Larson or Logano, Kyle Busch. That's pretty cool. Unfortunately, the NASCAR champion was the one guy that was not in the championship for. I predicted Brad Keselowski was going to win the championship with a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wins. Instead, Brad Keselowski was eliminated in the round of 8 and got 1 win this season. So, not exactly what I was pretty off. As for win totals, I did all right. Ryan Blaney, I think I had him for 3 wins, and that was correct. You know, I was off. On some. I believed Harvick was going to get 3, 4 wins. Didn't happen. I expected Hamlin to get more wins. Didn't happen. I did predict though that Kyle Busch was not going to have as great of a season. I did predict that Harvick, was going to, not do as well. Granted, I didn't think he was going to do as bad as he did in 2021, but it's still, still predicted that he wasn't, great. Underestimated some drivers like Byron, Larson, Kurt Busch, Bow. Overestimated some drivers: Suarez, Briscoe, Cole Custer, Eric Jones, especially. So overall, I feel that there were some really good moments, like the championship 4. I predicted 4 of the 36 points paying races correctly. That's a bit embarrassing. Only 4. But I did do all right. I think I did better than I think I could have. So that's going to do it for this video. Remember, you can use code Soren72 to get free shipping on all orders, $20 or more when you order from Circle B Diecast. That's code Soren72. Also, follow me on Twitter if you want, @ReviewSoren. Lots of videos coming up. Best paint schemes of 2021, worst paint schemes of 2021. I have a lot of good paint schemes this year, that I want to put on. And there are some really bad paint schemes this year from 2021. So you'll get to see that. If you have video ideas, put them in the comments below. If not, that's going to do it for this video. Thank you so much for watching, everyone, and goodbye.